Excited. We've got a Quilt.AI product launch coming in just under 20 minutes. We've just heard from Brendan and Erica, who gave a perspective on AI from a C-suite level. In the next segment, so the next 20 minutes, I want to welcome two individuals who are proactively applying AI on a daily basis. I'm looking forward to this one because life science companies are astutely known as slower to adopting new technologies. So today we have two front runners and pioneers sharing their trials and tribulations. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, Jasper van der Sompel. Jasper's held many roles across Pfizer, spanning global enabling functions, as well as being a current leader within their Sabinco team, a launch brand with really, really promising results within moderate to severe atopic dermatitis. Alongside Jasper, we have Karen Lazen. Karen is an industry veteran, having spent time with three of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. She is an award-winning marketer and currently leads consumer and patient marketing strategy for Ph.D, a blockbuster product franchise for retinal disease. In true pharmaceutical fashion, I can't get started unless I remind you that these are purely personal perspectives from Jasper and Karen, and it doesn't formally represent what Pfizer and Regeneron in position does. So now, without further ado, let's give them a very warm welcome on stage. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, let's dive straight in. So firstly, thank you for joining us. I'd like to start with debunking AI as a buzzword. It really reminds me of blockchain in 2017 or Web 3.0 in 2021. It's a huge amount of talk, but not huge amounts of tangible action that we're able to see today. I'd like to ask you both, can you share a little bit about how you're actually leveraging AI today? Karen, if we can start with you, that'd be amazing.
Sure, and thank you for the legal disclaimer at the beginning. So one of the things that we're working on is a creative assessment tool. Erica talked about the fact that our timetables are generally long, and it's a very heavily regulated industry. So we are using a tool with Quilt.AI to help us understand early in the process how we expect our digital and social creative assets to perform, to allow us to optimize them before we have to go through the long channel. So that's one of the things we're doing. We are also utilizing AI to help us with our insights and analytics. And I have a colleague here that is definitely steeped in that, helping us to tease through all the massive bits of information we have to help us garner insights quicker. We're leveraging AI in search. A lot of the industries are utilizing that. Some applications in sales training, as well as some of the things that related to sales that Erica was also talking about.
Amazing. Jasper, do you want to pitch in?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I love that you say AI is a buzzword because we make some jokes at Pfizer as well, right? When we do our town halls with senior leaders and we try and guess how many times they're going to use AI in their speech to kind of solve the corporate problems, because I think that is the buzzword so far. But what's interesting is it's good that it's being spoken about, right? Because it means that you're at the forefront. It means that your leaders are thinking about it and putting it on their agenda in order for the company to really think about the right things as we're progressing. But some things that we're doing within Pfizer, we're a big company, and I think you heard Erica and Brendan also talk about some of the things that are happening in clinical trials, or you might also be thinking about supply chain management, all areas where we can really use AI to speed that kind of production of medicine and bring it to market. But from a commercial perspective, what we're doing, which has been quite interesting, is using it for three main things so far. So one, we've also worked on some concept testing, which is really interesting because it allows you to quickly test creative ideas without bringing patients, healthcare professionals into a room, which can typically take up to 2 months to really do. And you can shorten that down into almost 2 weeks now. And it doesn't exclude that you still have to do your big market research, but it does allow you to quickly kind of wilt down into what is the direction I should be going in that I can then really test with my patients, with my healthcare professionals. So concept testing has been really interesting, but also patient journey mapping. So, across industries, we like to say in marketing, we do our customer journey mapping. I would say in healthcare that becomes much more difficult because every patient is different, every treatment is different as well. And so being able to really pinpoint where you can best support patients in their journey can be extremely difficult to do. And what we've been able to do also with Quilt.AI actually is come up with an online patient journey, let's say, where we've been able to look across forums, websites, how patients who are potentially using a treatment or medicine, how they're actually doing that and what their experience is, to be able to see where are the pain points and where can we really help as a pharma company to help alleviate those and to help have a better conversation with your doctor when you're going in to have that discussion. So that's been really interesting because it means that you can better develop your customer journeys in order to really make sure that your product that you bring out in the market, the marketing that you do for that it really targets that specific sub-segment of the population. And then I would say lastly, you also heard Erica talk about this from a chief marketing office perspective, but being able to bring your content to life and being able to move that quickly through the legal processes that pharma companies usually have is really key. So sometimes, she said it takes roughly 2 to 3 months. I work on a global level where you can see content taking almost 6 months to come to market. And being able to use AI to generate emails, banners, not to 100%, but to 60 to 70% is so useful because it means that you just can quickly get a concept out there that can then be adapted and kind of used much more quickly. So I would say, yeah, those are the 3 things that we're doing. They might sound basic to start with, but it's great that we're getting started.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It sounds like you're both experimenting a lot within your roles. Kind of what value within these experiments are you seeing within the patient or doctor experience that you find that's having a positive impact today? Or if not today, when do you think it will start having an impact?
So for what we're, using right now, I think the jury's still out. We intuitively think that the way we're using AI in terms of optimizing creative, we feel like it's improving things, but we're working on the back end to try to validate that in market. I think that's just the way pharmaceutical companies work. Like, we want to validate it. So the jury's still out. We think it's moving in the right direction for creative optimization, but we're still trying to prove that out in the market.
Yeah, I would say for me, the value really sits with patients, right? Is being able to understand exactly what is it that patients need from us and being able to do that market research much quicker. But also just from a healthcare professional perspective, being able to help them make the right treatment decision, the right diagnosis. These are all aspects that I think can add a lot of value, right? It's not easy to make a treatment decision. It's not easy to diagnose a patient. And AI has done a lot already, especially in the area that I work in, which is skin diseases, to be able to really help make those type of diagnoses. So I think it's both valuable for the patient as well as for the healthcare professional, but also obviously for us to be able to better understand both of those audiences.
Amazing. So I think a lot of people in the room will be sat here today and they won't have embarked on their AI journey yet. And hopefully we've inspired you. Some of the speakers have inspired you. What are some of the challenges or roadblocks that you've faced that you could kind of teach the audience today, hey, potentially if you approach it from this manner, you won't engage in these problems?
Let's see. So I think one of the things that is, was talked a little bit about earlier is just trust. So, when you are using so much data in an engine, And one of the things, there's a little bit of mystery in it. What is the recommendation based on? So, I would say that one of the challenges or one of the questions is can we trust what the AI is telling us? What is the source of the information? So my advice would be just be critical, skeptical, ask the right questions to be able to make sure that the AI is as useful and truthful as it should be. I think the other thing for us, particularly in this industry, is when everything has, from a regulatory perspective, there's a lot of context that we need to consider. So you can create content, but it may not meet the regulatory standards. So again, that can be challenging for us. And last, I would just say that there's a lot, right? There's just so much talk about AI. There's so much out there. How do you separate the hype from the really true things that are going to make a difference and help with speed and just making things better? And as a marketer, really you have to really pay attention and make sure you can evaluate things appropriately so you're picking the right things to try, or perhaps you're experimenting with the things that have some potential, but you're taking it a little bit slower and scaling it up.
By talking about the hype, so I guess when Gen AI was announced, a lot of publications mentioned the creative multiplier effect it's going to make. The quality of content and creative ideas come at extreme speeds. Is this something that you've seen in the marketplace yet? Do you really trust that the machine is able to do that for the teams that you're working with?
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, so the way, actually, it's funny that Brendan was on from Publicis because we work a lot with Publicis. They're our core partner to not only bring AI to life, but also our creative development in the company. And one thing that we're doing at the moment, especially for our brand, is actually creating a new campaign. And as part of that, we've done some concept testing, as I spoke about, but also in creating the campaign, we've started to see AI come into play. So what we used to do was you come up with maybe 4 concepts, you look at which one you like best, you start to put that into market research. But what we've been able to do now is really start with 20 concepts, and then you can get variations from that you start to see, maybe I'd like to see a jellyfish in there or a cactus in there. And it's great because you can get these iterations coming back within hours of you saying it, and then once you have those coming back, you can then wilt down into, okay, maybe we look at 2 of these concepts to take into an expensive market research. So I would say from a creative multiplier effect, it's been extremely beneficial because you get to see the value in quickly bringing concepts to life that are in your head and then wilting it down to be able to go and do the more expensive things. So like people were saying, right, it's cheap, it allows to do some scale, but it doesn't do 100%. So you still have to do that last part of the journey.
So earlier on, just moving track. So Erica talked a little bit about the importance of culture to really help with the adoption of new technologies. How have you positioned your teams to really kind of experiment and try AI in what is an astutely renowned industry that has been slow to innovation?
Mm-hmm. Regeneron is known for innovation. One of our values is taking on big ideas. So this is definitely an innovative spirit and, the curiosity that people have. So we're interested in looking to experiment. So from a cultural perspective, I feel like there's a match to look to new tools. We eagerly, and I eagerly look at learning because it's moving so fast. And trying to keep up as best possible and do experimentation.
Yeah, I would say for for me, personally, it goes back to almost marketing 101, which is your 3 Ps you have to have in place, right? So your people, your processes, and your platforms. Platforms or partnerships actually would be a good one. Think about people, are you bringing them along on the journey? Do we have the change management principles in place to really ensure that they know this is adding to their job and that they can use this to be able to do it properly? Or if they're not in place, they'll think that it might be taking their job, which is obviously not what we want. When we look at processes, especially for healthcare, it's making sure that you have the right ethical guidelines in place as well. So we have a great team at Pfizer that's created some guidelines to ensure that everything we do is always focused on whether it's truly bringing value to the patient, to the healthcare professional, and ensuring we do everything ethically, of course, as well. So processes, and then platforms or partnerships. So don't do things you're not an expert at, is what I would say. Bring in the people that are the expert. And that's why we work closely with Publicis, who's really started to focus on AI as well, Adobe, but also Quilt.AI, because we're a healthcare company, we're a pharma company. We create medicine, we are not doing AI. So bring in the people that know how to do it in order to really elevate what you do today to another level.
You both mentioned kind of learning and staying curious as big proponents of the successful culture that you've had. So I only joined Quilt at the start of the year, but I'm surrounded by AI engineers, product people who've been playing with AI tools since 2018. How do you guys stay updated and really learn kind of the AI domain in what is quite an inaccessible space?
Being here today, I would say, it's vast. It's really hard. I try to personally read as much as I can, and just try to stay on top of things, through conferences and that kind of thing. But it's hard to stay on top of it, right? I mean, somebody earlier in the conference said that, people can't predict 2 years ahead. So I also try to say to myself, I can't know everything, right? So just to build on what you said, you have to know who to go to, who is more knowledgeable than you, who is smarter, maybe knows the latest, and use that, use the people around you that you trust to help you along.
Yeah, fine. You mentioned kind of looking towards the future and not being able to predict it. As individuals who are determining the future arc of healthcare, is there anything that you're really excited for, AI-related or non-related, that are going to tickle the fancy of the audience today?
So personally for me, I would love AI to do like insurance claims for me, because I really hate doing that. And I don't, so it's really a hassle. So that's one personal thing. But I just think there's tremendous opportunity for helping to find medicines to solve some of the health problems or figure out diagnosis for conditions that we really haven't cracked the nut. For many years, I worked in the Alzheimer's space, and that's one of those diseases that is, just so devastating to the older community, and they really haven't made huge strides there. So that's one thing, for me that I really look forward to, is leveraging technology like AI to help just dig deeper and allow us to make progress in conditions that have been really hard to make progress in.
Jasper?
Yeah, I would say I actually don't have a good personal example, but I like yours, just doing the things around the home that you don't want to do. But I would say from a healthcare perspective, equitable healthcare is really not achieved yet around the world, and it's easy to live in a big city in a first world country and think that we have access to the best doctors, the best hospitals, and that's really not the case. You just have to go outside of a big city to see it, or travel to any other country that might not be considered a first world country, and you'll see that equitable healthcare is really missing. So what I hope AI can potentially achieve is from a patient perspective, give access to more knowledge. They don't all go and see doctors. It's not always accurate knowledge online, but it opens up doors. It opens up doors to understand what the potential treatment options are, what potential diagnoses can be, and how to deal with that once you are diagnosed. So I think from a patient perspective, it can be really beneficial, but also from a healthcare professional perspective, and especially in the area that I'm in now, which looks at skin diseases, having almost an AI companion, being able to go through millions of cases of skin diseases, whether it's skin cancer or eczema, to be able to help a healthcare professional really diagnose what's happening is going to be so crucial. And it's not going to take it away completely from the healthcare professional, but it's going to be really helpful in having them make that initial diagnosis with the patient. So I would say, that's what I'm hoping it can do. It's definitely not going to solve that problem, but it's going to make big strides, I think, in getting there.
Just to chime in with one more, if we have time. One of the other things I'm excited about is robotics, and I know we didn't really talk a lot about it today, but robotics and conversational AI. As people live longer, loneliness is a huge problem, and so I'm excited when robots can really, go in the home to help elderly people, not only, help them remember their medicines and help them, do some of the things and remind them of the things they need to do, but also really be a personal companion to help combat the loneliness they may feel as people get older.
I love that. That's going to be our next project we do together. How can we solve loneliness?
Okay.
Well, I'd like to give a hand to Jasper and Karen. Thank you for joining us on stage and sharing those insights.